actually
Hey,
talked
Brett.
about maybe doing that.
You don't have to bring one for me.
Yep,
What's that?
that's a lawsuit.
Throwing it over here.
It's
What's
good to
that
see it's
one?
done, it's ends.
What's it? Oh, that for the,
Yeah,
Why is it so
okay.
short?
I don't know. I was pretty impressed that they did that in 2 weeks.
yeah.
It don't take long. That's why they're getting
Ugh.
$400 an hour.
Yeah.
Or $500. Probably these guys are probably making $600-700 an hour.
I don't know, I don't think so, but I think 400, at 450 sounded right.
Hmm. Land disposal.
I know it was all Saturday and Sunday, I was working on it with them,
Yeah.
so.
No, it wasn't. It was Public Services. They're the parent company. Land disposal don't have any say so over nothing. They just have to get a copy of it at some point.
I have a digital copy, nobody wants to carry 150 pages.
Obviously, somebody does. You got it.
That's because I was foolish and started hit print before I realized how big it was.
Good evening.
You single-sided. Look at you.
It just kept on coming, I went, uh-oh.
Weigh it. Clerk Wright?
Hey, what's up? Yeah. What is going on here?
What was that? That's probably the one, that's probably mine, because this one was really high.
It definitely ain't
Too
mine.
late, well, it's too late. It's over here, I think. It was on mine. Okay, you don't get one. Oh, here it is, look,
What?
see that tab there? That's it.
Oh,
Thank you, Brittany.
Did you ever figure out what that lady wanted?
like,
She was confusing the hell out of me with the check.
oh,
Don't tell Joanne I
yeah,
said that.
rental.
Oh, room rental.
Deanna told me. Deanna said that she could drop it off anywhere.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, well, probably can if we knew. If we knew about it. She was coming into here. I'm like, here what? This lady just left the counter. She just walked to the counter and said, here. Some check. I'm like, what is this? I called her, she like, well, Deanna said we can drop, I can drop these off in any office. What are they? HOA. Room rental.
What do you guys want to, if these guys are here to comment on the landfill, do you want to let them go in before the presentation? Because they could be here for an hour.
I don't care. An hour. I hope the presentation ain't gonna be no hour.
I have no idea. We've been waiting for 7 years for this.
Dan Power ain't gonna make us last for around.
If it's an hour, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Ow.
We only got three business items.
I know,
He
otherwise
talking
it'll, yeah, but
about the presentation.
one is a presentation of something we've been working on for years.
Is that is that guy from Plant,
Forgot what was on there.
from,
I don't know. I got what was up there.
from, the guy that's working on that housing readiness is the guy from McKenna. Is he the one that's gonna speak?
Is that?
I don't know.
He's the one that spoke at the planning commission.
I assume he is.
Yeah.
So, can I be so bold as to ask what you wanted to speak on? Because we have two areas, all of you, because we have two areas here that you can speak, really one. What?
Non-agenda.
Down one, Sherry, I think, unless they moved your name.
Okay, and you?
Oh.
Mine is
Who's
not an
sitting here?
agenda item. You're asking for the board to help us with dead trees in the road.
Okay, all right.
It's not on the agenda.
Okay, let me find out what's going on then with this presentation. We have either a short meeting or a long one. So we're trying to figure out if we can break the rules.
Presentation shouldn't be that long.
Presentation. The presentation for what?
I don't know.
I don't see it on the, housing readiness
Housing
initiative.
readiness, yeah.
Oh,
Well, let's put it this way.
It shouldn't be that long.
This has three very short things that we have to do. The rest of it is the presentation.
oh, they need to get a clip note further than that.
That's the agenda for today.
Yeah, they need to get the Cliff Notes.
That's today's agenda.
Yeah, this is today's, copy the back. Do you need one?
Who presented it?
McKenna.
Leon,
Anyone else need one?
what's
But I don't see him here.
What's the HOA?
So maybe they're not gonna present it here.
You don't
Yeah,
have none?
somebody was dropping off a check for HOA earlier, but she didn't. Somebody had told her to drop it off, but I didn't know who she was dropping it off for. But I gave it to the right person. Tammy got it. Presentation of who you say was
I assumed it was gonna be McKenna, but it could be, Dan Power.
I think my
Hey, Sherry, I got a bag of mail for you. Did you get it?
I couldn't get it here after,
Make sure you get it, cause
I plan on it.
okay.
hello, everyone.
Because let's put them all before this presentation. They are gonna make that, he's only gonna say something for 10 minutes,
Okay.
not even 10 minutes, and
Happy to do
I
it.
don't think the guy Amy is either.
Happy to do it.
What you doing?
So we're gonna modify the agenda to allow, non-agenda items to be spoken after, right before the presentation. So you won't have to wait till the end of the meeting.
Thank you.
Speak before this presentation.
That's when I'll pop
Again,
comment.
September 25th, I finally go into my 2-year wait on fixing my nose. So I'm gonna be wrecked. I can't be seen.
What is it?
I'm gonna be in the hospital.
Mail it in.
Who, Reggie Ian?
She lied.
Oh, I don't care. Let Reggie
She
call
said
me.
they could
Don't
drop
let
it
you
off for
call me.
anybody.
Well, I just don't want to ruin
No. There's nothing we're doing that we couldn't stand up in front of everybody and tell them. Yeah, okay. All right.
I wanted to ask you before I.
Don't you worry about it one bit. Who, Reggie it is?
No, Nathan,
Oh.
you know,
Big Nathan, yeah. No, we're not, I'm not coming. I assume that you guys are going to the hot dog thing for the
26th September.
September.
You're. 26.
That's a Friday, I'm pretty
I
sure.
will be driving, no, that's a Thursday. I'll be driving back from Grand Rapids, 26th. I'll be leaving Grand Rapids probably about 4:30 in the evening, getting back here 6:30-ish, depending upon how well I can drive on the freeway. And I'll be going from there straight over to the fairgrounds.
So you're going up too.
I'm going to the planning.
Matt, yeah,
I'm going up to Matt, yeah.
just meet the candidates at the,
Yeah, the 26th.
going to that, or you going up to Matt? You're gonna all be at Matt. Is Kevin going too? Is Kevin, yeah, he's a,
Because I need to be at the meet and greet.
I read the book.
Coming home today or there. I get it, I understand.
Yeah, because I was gonna leave on Friday at like noon anyway. You know, I was just gonna stay Thursday night just to sleep and then get up and take off.
Friday then.
Friday, my wife has an exam on that day, and I just wanted to be around.
Better be.
Yeah.
We're gonna be starting up in 3 minutes.
It's you or McKenna?
Welcome to your last meeting.
Oh, welcome to your last meeting.
Yeah. You doing the presentation? Brief.
Oh, briefly.
I like
Okay.
that word.
Okay.
Well, you learning more.
Put a word in front of that, Barry.
But that would make it less brief.
Last meeting,
And I,
let him do his thing here.
Yeah.
Jan, you a gentleman on this call.
I was freaking out when all of a sudden you said hiring people to do shit. I wonder why we're doing it the way we're doing it. Supposed to do it fast.
What is that?
Invoice for the Belleville Area Chamber.
Guy right there. That's doing, the guy was running, is doing the presentation on the
What is you ain't a member of?
housing readiness.
Oh.
I hope not.
Did you have time to
Let's see.
read the pleadings?
This is the real agenda here.
Did you?
Take this one.
Any good? Oh, okay. So if anybody's gonna speak on it, it's you. No?
Evan, how you doing? Good.
They've served on
I'm gonna
Monday.
steal this for just a second. You go ahead and set
Oh.
it. Machine. Or you could put it on the flash
you doing?
drive on here.
Good.
Oh, perfect, yeah.
Okay.
You should be able to do that. You'll just have to do that thing to put it in, and then, you do that, or connect to the wire on here. If you do, just try connecting to the public one. Should be pretty straightforward. Yeah, I think you will have to connect to that. Okay. Okay. I'll see how easy it is to get on there, and I'll help you out if you use HDMI.
Okay. You guys okay? What's the whoa for?
Huh? He just said showtime.
Okay, all right. This meeting is called to order at 6 o'clock. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We are being broadcast live over Van Buren Television Channel 12. We are also on YouTube, as are all of our old meetings. Clerk, could you call the roll?
Yes. Trustee Frazier. Here. Trustee Martin.
Here.
Trustee Kelly.
Here.
Trustee Boyden.
Here.
Treasurer Bud.
Here.
The clerk is present. Supervisor McNair.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Clerk Wright. Next is executive summary of the agenda. We don't have a long agenda today. We're going to have a consent agenda, which will take care of our meeting minutes and paying our day-to-day bills. We also have the reappointments of Jeff Jar Jr. and Brian Cullen to the Planning Commission. Their terms will expire in 3 years at 2027. There will also be a presentation today on Housing Readiness Initiative, and we have a new business which includes a discussion regarding a quote for new heating, ventilating, and air conditioning at this fire station number 2. It's part of our plan to keep on updating everything and keep everything rolling, so it's all like new in this all of our buildings. We are adopting a 2024 Van Buren Township Economic Development Strategy and Marketing Plan today. There'll be a presentation on that. And we will have the first reading of an ordinance to rezone a parcel of property from M1 Light Industrial to M2. That's it. Moving on. Can I get an adoption of the agenda? We're going to ask one change to move the, what's it called? Public comment from public comment non-agenda to under presentations. Okay. Can somebody make that?
Through the chair,
Yes, Trustee
to
Kelly.
approve the agenda with the modification of the relocating public comment.
Okay. I've got a motion, I've got support. Hearing no discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Next item is adoption of the consent agenda.
Through the chair,
Trustee Boynton?
move that we accept the consent agenda, which consists of the following: budget meeting minutes of August 19th and of August 20th, special meeting minutes of September 10th, the prepaid list of August 22nd and August 29th, the voucher list of September 3rd and of September 17th, as well as the prepaid list of September 5th and September 12th, all of 2024. The Winter Festival Commercial Fireworks Display Permit application by Michigan Fireworks Club to discharge fireworks on Saturday, September 7th, 2024, with a rain date of Sunday, December 8th, 2024, and to approve the reappointments of Jeff Jar Jr. and Brian Cullen to the Planning Commission with terms to expire on 10/1/2027.
Support.
Support of Treasurer Bud. I've got a motion by Trustee Boynton, supported by Treasurer Bud. Hearing no discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. We move on. Public hearing, today we have none. We're in the correspondence, announcements, and presentations. What are you up for, the presentation or what?
Yeah, no, we don't want to do that.
We're gonna hold off on that just a second. Okay, so we're gonna allow for people that came to do public comment not to have to sit through the hour or so of this meeting. So if you guys would like to come up, we'd like to have a name and address, but it's not required, and we'd love to hear what you have to say. Don't really need that. Name would be nice.
Okay.
We like to you're from Van Buren usually, but if you're not, that's
I
okay.
am from Van Buren.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Raquel Bean. I'm here to address a critical issue, cybersecurity. As our city continues to embrace technology, especially with the development of the smart freeway, it's urgent that we take steps to protect both our infrastructure and our citizens from cyber threats. Our smart freeway is an exciting step forward, but it also makes us a target. Without proper cybersecurity measures, hackers can potentially disrupt traffic systems or even shut down critical services. We've seen similar incidents in other cities, and we can't afford to wait for an attack to act. I have personally been victim of an aggressive cyber attack that has been continuing for almost 2 years, including hacking and spoofing, with no resolution from my ISP or local authorities. I've actually had local authorities call me a liar. I began to go back to school for cybersecurity at the University of Michigan. I can articulate further on how I know what's going on with my network and that there is a spoofing and a hacking going on. When I reported these issues, I was dismissed by the police department because they lack resources or expertise to handle cyber crimes. This is happening to residents across the city, and it's leaving us vulnerable. I am asking the council to establish a dedicated cybersecurity team within the city limits. This team would be to protect our critical infrastructure, which you are establishing and integrating technology in our infrastructure within the city limits, like the smart freeway, and support residents facing cyber attacks. We need proactive measures to keep our community safe, and the time to act is now. Thank you for your time. I urge the council to consider this as a matter of public safety and infrastructure security.
Thank you. And we will take that for discussion, because quite frankly, the first one we kind of do, we have our own team protecting ourselves. But you're not the first resident I've heard that has had this problem that we can't help. We have no capability of doing
Can I
that.
make one more statement?
Yeah.
I've been to the Van Buren Police Department countless times. I initially realized this hack because of a school account was hacked. I get a header analysis on this account. I got a geolocations. I had a suspect in mind and whom I think had the resources to do the hack. I took her address and the geolocations from the header analysis, and I did a comparison between the distance between the geolocations and this individual's address is 950 feet. She lives in a newly built construction site. The discrepancies within the geolocations our understanding. I have ample amount of evidence for your local police department to do a full-on investigation and assist me. Last summer, I had an issue where I was on my MacBook and I received a text message. Someone texted me and said, I can see you in your MacBook too. I have a half-hour recording of me going into this local police department, them refusing to do anything. They saying that they can't even trace spoofed phone numbers. And the officer admitted to seeing me in distress, but dismissed me and sent me on my way. I have multiple recordings.
Again, we will look into it. It's not, it just,
I have made
I don't know what we can do yet.
I don't know either. That's why maybe we
Okay.
can work
All right.
together. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Could you leave your number with, where's Dan?
Brad.
Oh, Dan, could you get her number?
May
Yeah.
I-
Sorry.
yeah, say something. Ma'am, I can't tell you that I'm the risk manager for the township, and I sit on the MMRMA board, who is our liability insurance agency. This is something, I'm a board member, this is something brand new, even for our liability insurance carrier, but they are looking into it intensively, cybersecurity, because we are aware that it's a big threat, but it's something, it's so new and aggressive out there that we're trying to get a hold of it.
If you
As
can
an
get a
insurance
hold of me,
agency,
get a
and
hold of me. I have a lot of research.
Yes.
I believe the issue to be within the infrastructure of Comcast and Xfinity, and I have proof to prove that it's within the
Well,
infrastructure
let me-
of that
let me finish for
company.
a minute. What I was saying is that once we get control of it, there's gonna be more services that the insurance companies are gonna be offering each member, which is their clients.
You're fine.
So,
I'm-
but we have to get control of it first, because it's so new that, like the supervisor said, we don't know.
But you're integrating
Nobody knows what to do.
infrastructure with it, so you must be proactive and work
I
swiftly.
totally agree, but it is something that we will be looking into, like you said, in the future.
I'll be at every board meeting, and I will be advocating.
Won't be
I do
that
appreciate-
fast, but we will be looking into it.
Through the chair.
Next.
Through the chair.
Oh, sorry, trustee Boynton?
Something that we could possibly include the director of IT on as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, the director of IT.
Yeah.
I mean, we do that already in our own building. Our
Right.
problem is our residents are starting to look to our police to solve problems where they know they're getting
They don't have no.
Right.
or whatever
The
these things
outside,
are,
yeah.
but we have no
I know.
idea how to stop it or even track it. I'm sorry, sir.
It's okay, take your time, that's.
Name for, residency.
My name is Brad Traskus. I live at 44077, that's Willis Road, and yes, that's Sumter Township. And I want to start off first by thank you, Township Board, for having an ear listening to concerns of outside of your venue. But what I'm here tonight and listening to the residents, neighboring townships, whatever, but what I'm here tonight for is my wife and I, Diane, have been making repeatedly calls to the New Boston Yard for Wayne County Road Commission, trying to get someone, she gets a project number when she does call, and nothing's been done, and this has been going on for, 3 months maybe now. And the area I'm talking about is dead trees alongside Sumter Road between Bemis and Hull. Both sides of the road, there's a lot of dead trees. Unfortunately, several years ago, on Willis Road, the neighboring motorcycle club was going to a rally, and they went towards Sumter Road from Martinsville, and a tree had came down, and it was shadowed. It was in the afternoon, and it was shadowed in the sunset. And I'm Polish, so it's hard to talk without pointing and going on. But one of the bike riders went into the head of the tree and got impaled, and unfortunately, he expired. But what we've got on Sumter Road there is some big dead elms, and they're standing there and they're leaning towards the road. And eventually, you know, wind, heavy rain, whatever, there's no leaves on them. They're gonna come down, and unfortunately, they're gonna be in Sumter Road, whether they're affecting, you know, people from the north driving south into it, or people from the south coming into Belleville and then going to Van Buren. But I'm worried to death for your first responders, especially if it's a night and it's raining and that you know, one of the trees comes down into them. And being a retired fire chief from here, that it can happen real quick. But what I was wondering is, I know the township board carries a lot more clout with Wayne County than just, you know, one citizen and his wife. And I was hoping maybe the board could look into it and see if you could motivate Wayne County Forestry. I do know they're cut back a little bit, but see if you can push them along a little quicker and get that, I'm sorry again, get that cleaned up.
I can make a call, but it's Sumter. I mean, I do not want to step on Sumter's toes.
Well, the
Oh.
area I'm talking about is from Bemis, the beginning, yeah, coming north onto Hull Road.
Oh,
And that's
sure.
that's your backyard.
Sure. Dan, can you make sure? Thank you. Yeah, I will. Would you say it's interesting because they have 30 days to fix a road problem, or else they can be sued, and they never get sued. They never get sued successfully. I think there's been like one lawsuit that's been successful in the last 10 years against Wayne County for pothole causing a problem to a tire. But the difference is in forestry. Forestry can go years because unless that thing comes down and causes a problem, they didn't.
They usually wait for it
Yeah.
to actually come down, and then
Yeah.
they'll come out
So
and clean
it's
it
a
up.
different animal, and they have really cut back forestry. We will call.
Thank you very,
Thank you
very
for
much.
bringing it to our assistance. And thank you for your time served, Chief Traxix. All right, next. Who else? Yeah.
Good evening, Board. Yeah, a quick announcement. Just wanted to let everyone know about the Parks Department's first Paddle in the Park, which is being held this Saturday, the 21st, at French Landing Park from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. As everyone's aware, French Landing recently underwent several major improvements, including our new tent-style pavilion, a new fishing deck with our fun and funky furniture for use taking in the views of the lake, and of course our accessible kayak launch and our kayak vending machine. So the goal of Paddle in the Park is to bring more awareness to the kayak opportunities French Landing offers. Event attendees will be provided information on how easy it is to download the phone app from Rent Fun and rent one of our 4 available kayaks from the vending machine. You can get 2 hours of fun on the lake for $25. This includes the kayak, paddle, and a life jacket. And for those of you who have never been out on a kayak and have always wondered what it would be like, we're providing an opportunity for you to test drive one of our kayaks. So anyone 18 years and old will be allowed to get on a kayak and get on the water and just see what it's like and see if it's something that you're actually going to enjoy and want to come back for.
It'll be fun.
So Kona Ice is going to be on site handing out free shaved ice to all attendees. And the first 200 guests will receive a free Van Buren Township clear waterproof phone pouch. And that's going to come in handy when you decide to explore Belleville Lake in one of our kayaks this fall or next summer. So come join us this Saturday from 11 to 2 at French Landing. Let's see if you have that kayak spirit in you. Although rain currently is not in the forecast, if Mother Nature does play some tricks on us, the event will be held the following day at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you. That's our award-winning State of Michigan Park, French Landing. So, does anybody else wish to speak? Come on up.
Good
afternoon, everyone. My name is Nicole. This is my son Chase. He's 15. If it's okay, because he's not feeling good at
Oh,
all.
sure, it's fine.
But I did want to bring him
Yeah.
because it is related to him.
Okay.
We moved here a little over a year ago, coming from another area. He went to Summit Recreational Facilities, and I'm here asking that you guys consider possibly moving the age to be unsupervised at the rec. When they first, opened a couple of months ago, I was excited. My daughter cheers in there, perfect. I got a membership. I asked, they said he has to be 16. I said, do I have to stay right with them? They told me no. So I said, fine, it forces me to work out. So I take him. I'm having a bad day. I'm walking around the track to release my stress. And they said, you have to come down. He plays basketball and works out. And they said, no, you have to sit right next to him. And I'm like, this defeats the purpose of a family. We should be able to come and individually work out. Like, I don't want to sit with him while he's playing basketball. So I'm here. I have some literature from the summit where they can be left unattended at 12, age 12. Lifetime is 14. It's positive. He wants to play basketball. A lot of kids his age do other stuff, so I fully support. But God help me if I want to sit there for 5 hours. He can play basketball hours upon hours. He's an honor roll student in National Honor Society, not a blemish on his record. And I wish that maybe you guys could more put policies in place, such as no cursing, no fighting, focus more on things not to do. If you do it, then you can't come back, but not look at the age. As you can see, he knows more about the workout equipment than I do. I can't help him whatsoever when it comes to working out. So I would love to be able to drop him off. It's rarely anyone even in there. He normally shoots around by himself and maybe go home and cook dinner. And I would even be willing to sign a waiver. We don't have any responsibility if something happens. But strongly consider lowering that age to be unattended, and support kids trying to do other things, that are healthy, safe, productive, not playing video games, not, getting into things. And he just wants to play basketball. He tore his ACL, so they want him to work out more. Again, I don't want to be confined sitting at a
I can guarantee you that we will talk about it.
Okay.
I can't guarantee you what the decision is going to be because I know that there was a lot of talk about how to set this policy. So I don't know what the reasons were because this is a big policy book, but we'll.
Yeah, if we can look at.
Question about it, and you make a very compelling argument, and we'd love to have that paperwork.
Yeah. And like I said, maybe like not cursing. He doesn't curse, so I think, so he tells me. But not cursing, not fighting, not, no horse playing, things like that. Maybe look at more rules versus age.
I don't think anybody up here can find a single thing that you're saying that doesn't make sense.
Okay.
But we have to look at what we did before. That guy right there.
Yeah.
We'll lose it.
I don't know why it's 15.
Yeah.
15. 16.
Okay. Anybody else that wishes to speak at the, today? Anybody else wish to speak? Last call. All right. We're moving on then to any board announcements. Does the board have any announcements?
I do.
Okay. Look right.
Okay, so it's getting into the election season. We're right in the middle of election season. So we expect to be receiving ballots any moment now, but just want to go over a few things to make the board aware of a couple of few things that we've been doing. When we do good things, I like to try to announce it. So I want to let them know, first, reimbursements. We had a big change in the election based on Prop 22, which included us in having to do more and more things in regards to elections, which cost more money. But just to let the board know that we are being reimbursed for some of the stuff, and we're seeking funding for a lot of other stuff. We will receive $70,000 from the state of Michigan for early voting support for the February elections. will be $10,000 back from the state of Michigan in cooperation with Wayne County for early voting staff and support. It cost us $10,000 to put early voting on. That 9 days of early voting cost us $2,000 in staffing. We applied for an election grant, which we have received notice that we will be receiving that also, which is for $30,000 for staffing, physical and technological support to plan and operate secure, efficient, and accessible elections. So, with this totals, this year we'll be receiving a total of $110,000 back in support for the election process.
Great.
Absentee ballots will go out in the mail next week. If you haven't received a ballot by October 7th, call our office. Snowbirds, college students, if you need your absentee ballot sent to a temporary address, email our office at elections@vanburen-mi.org. That's elections@vanburen-mi.org. Don't wait until the last minute to make your plan. And this goes for everyone. Don't wait until the last minute to make your plan to vote. We offer absentee voting, early voting, and of course, the day of election voting. Again, absentee voting, which starts right now, you should be receiving a ballot, go out in the mail next week, which give you 40 days to look at, do your research, get the ballot back to us. Also, now we have 9 days early voting. We'll give you, starting October 26th, give you 9 days of early voting. So you don't have to, everybody that, these are for the people that like to go out and physically vote. Still don't have to wait until the day of. You can physically go out 9 days starting October 26th here at the township, and you can put your vote in the tabulator. These options are put forth to make elections easier and more accessible to our voters. We have over 25,000 registered voters. We would like to see an uptick in that this year by seeing people put their vote to reality. We have one thing that you can do that don't cost you a penny, and that's voting. And it's a good way to make your voice be heard. Whether you believe or not, every vote counts. We count each and every vote. That's my report for today. I'll have another one next board meeting.
Anybody else? Okay. Moving on to the next presentation, which would be our formal presentation on redevelopment ready. Or wait, no, mixed middle. Go on.
Good evening, board.
Housing readiness.
Good evening, board. As you know, the township earlier in the year was awarded a grant from the Michigan State Housing and Development Authority to do a housing readiness initiative where we took a look at the township's master plan and some of our development regulations to incorporate some of the state's goals for housing. Earlier in this year, we entered into a contract with McKenna & Associates to provide this work for the township. To get the presentation, I wanted to introduce Donovan Smith with McKenna & Associates. He's going to give an overview.
All right. Thank you. Good evening. Good afternoon. How's everybody doing? Good. All right. So my name is Donovan Smith. As mentioned, I'm a principal planner with McKenna & Associates, and I'll be sharing with you the kickoff and presentation that we shared with the Planning Commission regarding the master plan implementation plan for the Michigan Housing Readiness Program. So briefly, I'll just give an introduction regarding the program. I'll give some details about the project and what our approach to this project is, kind of some of the objectives. Then I'll give an overview of some of the schedule when we're having some community engagement and some meetings. And then I'll give an opportunity for you to ask any questions if you have any. So the team that we have right now, in addition to our other staff, the two primary staff you will hear about around this project are myself and Vidya. Everyone knows Vidya. She's the community specialist for this project, and I'll be the project manager. Let me jump ahead. As mentioned, the MISTA grant came out, was released sometime in January. And then the township was fortunate to apply for this grant and was awarded $45,000, $50,000 in total. $5,000 was awarded to the township. and then the rest is awarded to the project. The objective of the Michigan Housing Readiness Grant is to create and allow changes or updates to your zoning ordinance or your master plan that support housing sustainability, affordability, the housing stock, and the housing supply. So ultimately, they want to see long, impactful changes as a result of these grant dollars, which is why we're presenting the project this evening. So some of the objectives and purpose of this project is, one, to address the objectives outlined in the grant and also of the Redevelopment Ready Communities program. We are proposing or implementing the goals and objectives currently adopted within the master plan of the township. So we're taking those things that were already reviewed and adopted, some of those goals, and then later in your action plan, and I'll kind of share some of those details later. But we're actually implementing those things and carrying that plan forward, which is really good. And then one of the final outcomes of this project is to develop a comprehensive housing strategy that we can use and share examples of how you can implement that strategy in the township. And then we'll give you some zoning recommendations that you can adopt to, again, carry those things forward. So we're kind of doing a full process here where we're doing the research for the project. We're creating the concepts and laying it out so you can see it in real time. And then we're going to actually adopt some changes to carry those things forward. So at a brief high level, the kind of activities you can expect in this project is we're going to start with studying some of the existing land uses, your existing documents such as your master plan, but also looking at your zoning ordinance, just to get a good rounded sense of the opportunities that exist and areas for improvement that we can look to further develop. We'll also be conducting a market research of the housing market specific to the township, and I'll have some details on some of the things that we'll be looking at a little later on. Your master plan speaks on middle housing or developing and including more middle housing within the township. So we'll actually be using the housing study and your existing data to create that middle housing strategy, which would form the basis for the conceptual plans. And then finally, we'll be adopting the zoning ordinance and recommendations after everyone has reviewed it and kind of we come to a middle ground there. We'll be adopting changes to the zoning ordinance. So some other details around this process, as I mentioned, we'll be inventorying the township land. We'll be conducting a residential market analysis. We do propose several community engagement activities, and I'll share that schedule with you a little later. We do what we call zoning diagnostics, where we look at the ordinance against a series of criteria, and we just start to kind of identify gaps in processes or ways to make things better, or to include things that should be included that may not be included. And then sometimes we also update definitions. So we include all those things within the zoning diagnostic. And then again, we are proposing to do the conceptual plans as well as adopting the changes within the zoning ordinance. So currently, the township has a 2020 master plan, and that master plan speaks to housing in three specific areas. The first is in middle housing, your zoning plan, and then your implementation plan. So again, the crux of what this project is we are implementing what is adopted within your master plan, less us kind of creating things that we just think needs to be done. We're, again, carrying a lot of this activity forward. So within your master plan, there are 14 recommendations for zoning improvements. On the screen, there are 4, but we are proposing more engagements where we'll do deeper dives into these specifically with the Planning Commission. But there are 14. The 4 on the screen are more catered to residential. Some of those include providing incentives for infill housing and improved design standards, the inclusion of duplexes, triplexes, and quadplexes, or what we call middle housing types within your zoning ordinance, and then also conducting studies to determine the best fit in terms of consolidating or reviewing existing zoning districts to improve the efficiency of the zoning ordinance related to housing. The second area is in your implementation plan within the zoning ordinance. This is in the rear of the document. And this form serves as an action plan that provides 5, 10-year projections of different activities you can aim to achieve. So that portion of the plan also has 4 criteria or objectives that we'll be looking at folding into this process. So again, we're keeping the forefront of the ideas that were adopted and that we said we were going to do as a township, but then carrying those forward. And the last, and again, kind of one of the main key pieces of this grant is improving or allowing more middle housing types within your community. Fortunately, your master plan there are about 4 pages that are dedicated just to middle housing types. That would be your duplexes, your triplexes, multiplex townhomes, and your live-work type of units. We'll be looking at these housing types as a framework, and these will be the kind of types of developments you'll see conceptualized across the other areas across the township. I mentioned we'll be doing a residential market analysis. Some of the things that we look at related to market trends are home value, median income, the housing stock and makeup, occupancy and population trends. And then we also look at economic factors such as employment, income, housing tenure, the age of the housing, gross rent, and cost burden, which is how much of your income is affected by homeowner cost. This is an example of what you can expect towards the end of the project as a final deliverable when we provide the zoning recommendations plan. It will come in a format similar to this where we'll provide a roadmap of the ordinances that you can adopt, the type of language that would be included in those ordinances, as well as some of the outcomes that you can expect to see as a result of adopting those zoning ordinance changes. So that's called the Zoning Ordinance Action Plan, and that's one of the final deliverables of the project. So as it relates to the project schedule, it is a 13-month schedule. So we are proposed to be completed sometime around the summer of next year, 2025, where we will be approaching adoption towards the end of spring. So that would include going through the market study analysis between us and the Planning Commission, the public engagement activities, the zoning ordinance recommendations, and then ultimately adoption. There are 4 activities proposed for public engagement. There's a community survey we plan to share that will have different aspects about housing and some expectations that we want to flesh out from the residents. And then we're also proposing 3 workshops with the Planning Commission. One to go over the goals and objectives of the project as a whole, one to go over the missing middle or the middle housing concept strategies, and then the third to go over the zoning ordinance recommendations. And on your screen are those dates. So we did hold our kickoff meeting with the Planning Commission last week. The next time you'll see us or hear about us is when we have our first workshop with the Planning Commission on November 13th, followed by the middle housing concepts in January, and then we'll come back for the third time on March 12th to go over the final zoning recommendations. And then once we have the Planning Commission public hearing, those recommendations will then come before the Township Board for adoption. And our last steps or our immediate next steps are we're going to be convening the steering committee or the administrative team to just kind of keep track of the project, updates, feedback, and things like that. We are looking to convene that team next month, and then we'll be working with staff to determine the makeup of the members of staff and the community who are going to participate in that steering committee. And with that, that concludes my presentation. So if you have any questions, I'm here for them. Thank you.
No, it's kind of new for us. In fact, the state of Michigan's not even sure where it's gonna go. It sounds like that they wanted to get it rolling, so they offered, what, a $50,000 plan to get you rolling, and they paid for 45,000 of it or something like that.
Yep.
To the people that were interested in improving their zoning and improving their missing middle. So yeah, we're going along for the ride here. Hopefully it'll help us out. It's not really gonna cost us a lot, so maybe they'll provide a great solution.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I think there's a lot of insight to be found in looking into the data of housing in communities. And it's a great opportunity just to be able to have your master plan and, again, just do the things that you say you're going to do in the action plan, and then the dollars being there to do those things. So that's just a thing to celebrate in itself. So I look forward to working with you and seeing you at the end of this project.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
As Mr. Donovan said, he did come before the planning commission, and I would
Oh.
say that the planning commission was excited. They were interested in what he said, and they look forward to working with him and getting this project up so it can be presented to the board and to the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, does anybody else need? Dan Power, come on up. We gotta say goodbye to you, Dan. This is Dan's last meeting. So, Dan.
My agenda item.
No, Dan's one of the hardest working people in the building. It's amazing. He started here, 2 months after he started here, we went into COVID lockdown, so we kind of lost you. So, but everybody that works with him thinks of him as a friend. His work is incredible, exemplary. He's found a position that he says fits him better. That's okay. We want you to be happy. What? You're new to this? Okay. So. I don't want you to be happy. Yeah. So. Yeah. I just wanted to bring you up here and say thank you for the time you've given us, and thank you for giving us a long time to find somebody else to fill your shoes, which we haven't found yet.
Gonna be in touch.
Say,
Help out where I can.
say it's goodbye, or
Yeah.
you already did.
Through the chair, I hate to say goodbye, so I'd rather just say, stick around once in a while, let us know how you're doing, because we'd like to keep track of you and those two beautiful children.
Watch your kids grow up, yeah.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Dan, thank you for everything since you came in. You were on planning when I just started out. Well, not started out, but was on planning, helped me through that and kind of keep things in order. And then to my transition to the board, you've always been there, always been a major asset, and I appreciate everything. So thank you so much.
Through the chair.
Don?
I just want to say it has been an honor to watch you loosen up. When you started, I was on the planning commission, and we had many a good talks and many a good sessions in the office, figuring things out. And I think wherever you go, you're going to be wildly successful.
Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure working with you.
You as well, Trustee Boynton. Thank you.
Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Power, it's been a pleasure to work with you over these past few years. You have done an exemplary job. You are thorough, and you keep your nose to the grindstone, and I appreciate it. You have also been, I sit on the board of zoning appeals, and you have whipped that board into shape and got us going in the right direction. And I appreciate your guidance and your help and your diligence. And I pray that your future endeavors are successful, that you're happy, your family and your wife will be happy to see you at home a little bit more, I hope. Thank you for a job well done. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Through the chair, yeah. So I wrap it up, Dan, I just want to say, I mean, everybody's pretty much been spot on. I just want to thank you for your time here. I mean, your professionalism, your courteousness, you're responsive, always respond to anything ever asked you to do. can consider, I mean, it just, you're a model employee, and I hope the company that's getting you understand that they're gonna have a very good asset coming on. I hate to see you leave because it's hard to find people your magnitude. That's why it's hard to be replaced, but we have a good group of people here as a whole, and you're right there with everyone else. I hate to see you leave, but I also like to see people expand their opportunities. So I wish you well, and you and the family. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sherry Fraser.
I just want to
See.
say thank you for all your hard work and dedication to the residents. And we're going to miss you.
Thank you very much, Trustee Frazier. It's been wonderful. I'll just very briefly say, when I came here, it was very different. We were in the Otisville Sheldon room, I think, when I came on board, and going through remodeling, and like the supervisor said, we went through COVID pretty quickly early on. I didn't disappear, but we were all trying to navigate things in the background, and it was challenging for a while. But this is a really good group of people. I was excited to come work here because I think I told the Planning Commission when I was little, I didn't spend a ton of time in Belleville, Van Buren Township, but I do remember it feeling kind of unique and special compared to where I grew up in the more blob part of Metro Detroit. It was kind of that first area that felt kind of like a small town. It has a unique identity, and it's a special place. So it's good to see that everybody here is really really invested in planning for its future and doing right by its residents. And I'll also I want to thank my colleagues, the people that I oversee or work alongside, as well as the people I report to. Everybody's a really good team there. I really appreciate Director Akers, Luckett, Lawrence, all the staff, Brittany, Karen, Caroline, who are in the department now, Chris Salazar. Everybody's really doing well, and they're going to be a very sound team moving forward. So that's not to say anything about all the rest of the township as well. It's a great group of people. So thank you very much for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Truly be missed. Your team loved you. Yeah, so.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
We're going to be moving on. I'll give one last shot to public comment. Is there anybody from the public wishing to make comment? Hearing no, we're moving into the unfinished business. New business begins. First item is a discussion on and consider approval of a quote by O'Neill to replace the HVAC system in Fire Station number 2. Can I get a motion?
Through the chair,
Kelly?
consider approval of a quote by W.J. O'Neill to replace the split system HVAC at Fire Station number 2.
Support.
Hey, Clerk Wright. Okay. Director Lawrence. Excuse me, Director Lockhead.
To the chair. I just want to say one thing to Director Powell. It's been a pleasure of mine personally. When I came to the township, you welcomed me with open arms, taught me things, and I tell you, wherever you go, you're going to be a shining star. I guarantee you. So with that said, good evening, board.
Good evening.
I'm before you this evening for you to consider approval of a split AC system at our fire station number 2 in the township. This system is about 21 years old. And when we say a split system, that means that one part of the system is outside and one part of the system is inside, okay? And this system actually cools and warms the server room for fire station number 2. So a few months back, that system went down and we put in temporary AC units, and they've been operating like that, and everything's been fine for a few months, but now it's time to put a permanent fix in that system. So that's what I'm here for you today. So with that said, Fire Station 2, of course, has a separate split AC system, and it provides heating and cooling, okay? The existing system, again, failed a couple months ago, and in order to provide a permanent repair, the township solicited a quote from our regular AC vendor, which is W.J. O'Neill. And W.J. O'Neill recommended a full replacement of that system. The cost for that replacement is $21,342. That will consist of the entire installation, putting part of it on the roof, putting the other part in the service room, and we should be up and going in approximately a day. I'm here before you to ask you to really consider approving this so we can move forward. Again, this system is over 21 years old, and the recommended lifespan of one of those systems is 15 to 20 years. So we did pretty darn good to say we got our money's worth out of it.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Go ahead, Clerk Wright.
The only thing I would ask, with 21,000, did we get any other quote?
We didn't. There's not a lot of manufacturers out there that do that split system, and we wanted to replace it with a like system. So it's a Mitsubishi system that's in there, and that's what we're putting back. And throughout the township, we probably had I want to say we got 3 others of those type systems. It's a pretty good system overall.
Any other questions? Okay, I've got a motion by Trustee Kelly, supported by Clerk Wright. Hearing no further questions, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? This motion passes. Thank you, Director Luckett.
Thank you, Board.
Next item is a discussion and to consider approval of a resolution to adopt a economic development strategy and marketing plan.
Through the chair,
Yes.
I'd like to make the motion to consider approval of Resolution 2024-12 to adopt the 2024 Van Buren Township Economic Development Strategy and Marketing Plan.
Ms. Frazier this time. Trustee Frazier. All right. Oh, great. Director Powers.
Yes, thank you, Board. That's why I thought I was coming up last time, actually.
I guess we got you 2 more times. Yeah, all right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, let me just pull up what I thought I had on here. Just a few slides to shed some light on what you're reviewing here. So, thank you for having me here to present this tonight. The item on the slide here is the last kind of 2-part big step toward redevelopment ready certification, which, by the way, I just have to give kudos to a lot of people before me and alongside me during this process. We're about to be redevelopment ready certified, which started with Director Akers. I know Director Renault worked on it for a while, Director Best. There are a lot of components to this, and for good reason. It's a broad-reaching effort that is intended to make communities more accessible and attractive for redevelopment and for new growth. And so there's a lot of things that go into this this whole process. But the things that I'm going to talk to you about tonight are some of the last big hurdles that were in front of us to getting that done. And the first thing that I'll go over is just, and I'm not going to go over the full document, but you have it in your packets tonight. The first thing I would mention is the marketing plan. The marketing plan is something that establishes the goals and strategies for how a community should partner locally to build a consistent brand, tell their unique story, and attract new residents, visitors, businesses, and development. These descriptions all come from Michigan's Economic Development Corporation that established RRC, and so they provide the guidance for what needs to go into a marketing plan for those purposes. The different components of that plan that you have in front of you are an audit of physical, cultural, and social assets in Van Buren Township. Like I was mentioning earlier, some of the things that make the township unique, we have Belleville Lake, Lower Huron Metro Park, Willow Run Airport. Those are some physical assets that are not widely, they're not very common. It's pretty unique to have a very robust airport hub, a commercial airport hub, Belleville Lake as a recreational resource, Lower Huron Metro Park. In addition, we have a lot of cultural and social assets like the Michigan Flight Museum, which is formerly the Yankee Air Museum, the Detroit Regional Aerotropolis, which is an economic development group that provides additional economic development services in our region of the state. We also have proximity to downtown Belleville, which is something that many residents identify with as kind of a nearby downtown area that makes the township special. You might recall that some of these things were identified in the workshop on June 8th of 2023 when you, many of you attended to lay out your ideas that went into this. So a lot of this is the culmination of your ideas and the Planning Commission's ideas of what kind of makes the township unique. In addition to those assets, we go over township brand and identity. We go over the target audience messages and communication that we're seeking when we promote the township. We identify some priority redevelopment sites, and there's a detailed goal and action plan. When we talk about those priority redevelopment sites, there are, I believe, actually 6 or 8 total, but these are some of the most prominent ones that we've identified through our process. The Lake, formerly known as the Lakewood Shopping Center, I guess it actually still is the Lakewood Shopping Center, but the site at I-94 Service Drive and Rawsonville Road, that's a site that I think many people know has pretty wide-ranging vacancy. It's prime for some kind of redevelopment vision for the future, so that's one of the sites that has been identified, as well as some sites that you can see how this is labeled here, in parentheses, and then development, because these may have had some development history, but they're broadly undeveloped today. So what we call the Ford land across Tyler Road, the 181 acre parcel that's owned by the township, as well as the really regionally significant 440 acre and 390 acre parcels near Ecorse Road between Belleville Road and Beck Road, as well as some others that are listed in the plan. There's another part to this effort, which is the economic development strategy, where we discuss community context, community engagement, local and regional goals, the priority redevelopment sites and how to address the plan for those sites, and action plans. I don't have really anything else to share about the effort other than that this is going to be something that helps kind of zero us in on how to market the township for future growth, as well as to give us a toolkit for economic development moving forward. So I'm glad to answer any questions or try to get some answers on anything you have questions about in the document, but feel free to peruse it. Otherwise, it'll just be, I think it currently is posted to the website, but it'll be formally part of our redevelopment ready certification. It's something I'm sure you can revisit in the future if you find the need to.
So this is, we started this. Elizabeth Renault, I think, was an intern or something when we started this thing up. It is really surprisingly been used in our community a lot. We talk about the fact that we run QWERTY codes and surveys, and we do these community town halls, and it all came from this strategy. This is the final part of it where we're basically trying to lay out a strategy to sell Van Buren, and that's going to be a big part when we go to our next step, which is going to be going to economic development, saying we need money for this, and this stretch of road, such as Belleville Road from Tyler to Ecorse, or going to say, I don't know, 100 pasture homes, and saying we want to develop this area and look at what we've got going on here, and here is our marketing plan, and here is the state of Michigan is identified, and they're going to help out. There's all sorts of different ways that this is going to help. This is actually going to control our economic development over the next 5 years or so. It's a big deal. Kind of is.
Through the chair. And the Planning Commission spent a lot of time on it too. We had a meeting where we went over almost page by page of this whole thing. We've all read it a half a dozen different times. We all have made comments. Hats off to all of them that worked so hard on it, and Dan, all the work you did, and anybody else that touched it. It's a big document, and it was a lot. We wanted to make sure how the words were spelled right. Everything was the way that we thought the community ought to see it. So thank you, and thank the planning commission. They did a great job.
Thank you.
And it was paid I'd say 95% of it was grant money. And it also opens up the door to a lot of additional grant money, so. All right. Thank you, Mr. Powers. I have currently a motion to accept this report, marketing plan, from Clerk Wright, and it's been supported by Trustee Frazier. Hearing no further discussion on this item, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. The marketing plan's approved. We move on to discussion item number 3, which is actually an ordinance of first reading.
Through the chair.
Thank you.
I make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance RZ 09-17-24, parentheses 1, rezoning of the parcel west of Costco Truck Terminal, parcel ID number 83-014-99-0004-704, from N1 Light Industrial to M2 General Industrial.
Treasurer Bud. Go ahead. Last one, Director Power.
Thank you. The request before you tonight is a request by Costco Wholesale Incorporated. They don't have representation tonight, but they said they would be happy to have somebody at the October 1st meeting if there are any questions that come up. It's a fairly simple request. Costco owns the large parcel at 5860 Belleville Road. And you can see the large truck terminal site that they operate there on Belleville Road. They also own this property, which I believe we said is 38. I forget the acreage. I'll get back to you on the acreage. There it is, 38.8 acres to the west of the Costco site. That site is master planned under the township's adopted 2020 master plan as heavy industrial, as is everything along that side of Beck Road and even on the west side of Beck Road. So from a master plan perspective, it's a site that's planned for heavy industrial. It's currently zoned light industrial, but it does open up the door to that heavy industrial zoning, which is required for any kind of expansion of Costco's current use, which is that truck terminal use. So that's again the layout. The Planning Commission held a public hearing regarding this request on August 28th, and there are residents who reside in the homes, 7 or 8 homes on Beck Road, south of Michigan Avenue on the east side of Beck Road. They were made aware of this request, and there was one resident who made some comments with some concerns that they were hoping would be addressed with the site plan review aspect of this request. But by and large, the request is a fairly straightforward request to enable Costco's expansion to the west with adequate buffering, landscaping, and all the things that would go into that expansion. Costco has submitted a very preliminary version of their site plan. I've seen that they just today submitted a revised and more detailed version of it, so we have yet to get into the full site plan review, but basically what you're looking at is there's still a pretty big swath of property east of Beck Road that's deep lots that are owned by those residents. Behind those, there would be potentially an expansion of the Costco site. One thing that came up as a concern as part of this was the truck traffic on Belleville Road and the offsite impacts. Those are things that would be addressed. Costco is engaging in a kind of a light study of its truck routing and looking at ways to address the truck circulation and make sure the trucks are going where they're supposed to go. And I believe, and I know Treasurer Bud was part of this meeting as well. But their description of this project, the expansions that they're talking about, is mostly to alleviate backup of trucks that are staged in front of the site. They're not necessarily bringing a lot of new inventory, but it's more to open up the circulation inside of the site. So that's at least the short-term intent. Of course, the rezoning is setting the tone long into the future, but the master plan, again, accommodates the rezoning. There was a recommendation by the Planning Commission to move forward with the vote to approve the rezoning, so that's what's in front of you tonight, and I'm happy to answer any questions about that.
Since I live up in that area, I can tell you that there's a big concern about the fact that Costco has just-in-time inventory. And that just-in-time inventory means these semis just drive in circles for 15, 20 minutes until it's their turn to get let into the site. So fixing that would be huge. Thank you. All right, I hear nothing else, so I've got a motion by trustee Martin. I have a support by treasurer Bud. It is a first reading, so I can take a vote by voice. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? This motion passes until the next read. Thank you very much, Director, for the last time. Reports are in your packet on financial reports for January, February, March, April, and May. We are doing fine. The public comment section has already been completed. Are there any board comments that anybody wants to make? Hearing none, can I get a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Mr. Trustee Boynt,
Support.
supported by Clerk Wright. Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. We are adjourned.